So, how are we
Are you familiar with the new website and everything?
the Affinity Culinary?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
Okay. I'll ask you that at the beginning, at the end. You can scoot right over there if you want. And before we begin, just for editing purposes, can you give us your name, how you spell it so they get that right?
Yeah, so it's Daryl Hughes, DarylHughes.
Okay. And Daryl, underneath your name, do you want to put Tormac or what do you?
Yeah, that's fine. Affinity Culinary.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. And can you give us the website too?
So it's affinityculinary.com.
Very good. Okay. We're going to start out looking at the camera. Once I turn to you, just you and I having a conversation.
Okay.
And- Yes, sir. Oh, hey, thank you. Yeah, we'll take anything. That's awesome.
Stephanie, you good at cutting clothes? We could pull her in to do a little cutting, actually, because she's a chef.
I run restaurants, yeah. Yeah, I run restaurants.
Is there a way that you can kind of, maybe that's a little bit of B-roll or something?
B-roll I can do.
Okay, yeah, probably in B-roll would be
Show
best.
how sharp it is and put
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
It's always good to get a real chef.
Yeah, that'd be good. So, should we call you Affinity or should we call you Tormac?
I mean, the subtitle on the screen and the site and everything is Affinity Culinary, but we're talking about the Tormac T2.
Okay,
Pro
Tormac
Kitchen
T2.
Knife
Very good.
Sharpener.
Okay, good.
If you can use the proper name, Pro Kitchen Knife Sharpener.
Pro Kitchen Knife Sharper.
Very good.
But if it's stumbly, don't worry about that. T2, Tormac T2, Tormac T2, that's
We'll pound that into their head. We're going to start out right here, but once I turn to you, just you and I having a
Yeah,
conversation.
okay.
Welcome back. Well, as you know, a dull knife can be unsafe, unproductive, and a real frustration. If you're looking for a solution, look no further than the Tormac T2. I'm here with Daryl, and Daryl, I've been watching you do demonstrations all day long along a host of chefs here that were very impressed, and you showed me things that really impressed me too, because we discovered you at NRA, and so that's the only window I've had into the Tormac T2. But today you were doing paper thin slices of tomatoes, and just it was like magic. Tell us a little bit about your company.
So we found a little niche in the market in the restaurant culinary industry with not having sharp knives. There's only a few different ways they can do knives out in the industry now. There's a sharpening service they can use. Some guys use steels, and then there's you can get a set of stones and use it. It's very time consuming. You can't control the quality of your knives if you have someone else doing it. And then if you have a guy coming once a week or once every 2 weeks, what happens on day 2?
Exactly. It can be very frustrating. You know, you get your new knives in, you roll an edge, and then you're out of luck, you know.
Correct.
So it can be expensive, it can be frustrating, it can be dangerous. And, you know, because you're more likely to get cut with a dull knife than a sharp one. Is that right? Because you're going to be doing things to try to make the cut happen.
Yes, correct. You're using a lot more pressure with a dull knife, and that's when you slip and you cut yourself. And like we just heard today in our class, you're not actually cutting yourself, you're actually tearing yourself. So that's a very dangerous thing in a kitchen. So less pressure, it just keeps it. Another thing we found out with the edge on this machine, it's a nice clean edge. It makes, and it's good for tracking. If you're cutting your vegetables, you want your knife to track right. We've taken this to butcher shops as well. That was very successful because of the trimming of the meat. So I had a butcher shop the other day telling me if he does 70,000 pounds a week, if he's 1% off on his trim, he said, "What's that costing me?"
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, pays for this machine right away, which is already very affordable. And the reason why you're back on the show again is because we really believe this is going to revolutionize the industry. Going to remove that frustration factor. We're going to be able to have a sharp knife whenever we need it, correct?
Yes, correct. And since we've spoken last, we've been out in the industry a bit more. I've gone to some multinational chains. I've been to a lot of independents. I've been to some guys with 5, 6 stores, and I'm hearing the same thing over and over and over again. So what we're able to bring to the table is repeatable, fast, it's easy. A novice can make a sharp knife.
That's important, no training. And when you talk to chefs about this, they just get it.
Right, that is correct. I'm finding very great success. Anytime I talk to a chef, a culinary, someone that specializes in culinary, or someone that does a lot with knives, it's instant. They get it, they see it, they got it.
You demonstrated today among chefs here, and then when you had your brochures and business cards, it was like a dog pile over there.
Yeah, that's correct. Everyone wants to get them.
So in front of us here, you have a knife that is dull, and you're actually going to make it sharp right before our eyes. Can you demonstrate how dull it is right here?
Yes, I'll do that for you. And what they did with this knife is he took it outside, he chopped a block of wood, he scraped it on the pavement. He was not nice to it.
Yeah.
And so basically gives it to me, and I'm going to take it and sharpen it. It's going to take me a little more time than you would normally use, but once you get the edge, that's the beauty of this machine. It's an instant savings, because once you get an edge on it, you just swipe it through a couple of times. With this very dull knife that was in the block of wood on the cement, I'm going to have to put a nice new edge on it, but it'll just take me a few minutes. It's not hours.
Now, which one of these knives drew the short straw for the abuse? Was it? It's that one there?
Yeah, so they beat this one up pretty bad. So
Okay, I can see
you
it
can
right
see it's
here.
like a butter knife.
Yeah, and you can probably not have much success on these, is that
Yeah,
right?
so basically what I do, Bill, is when we, one way to tell if a knife is sharp is if you can skin or shave an orange or a lime or a lemon, and you can see here,
Skates right off.
we're skating, yeah, it's just going right over top, so I can't even get it to dig in.
Okay, so now we're going to sharpen it here. Again, anybody can do this. What's the process?
So basically what the process is, it comes in a box with the wheel off. You're going to put the wheel on. You're going to set your angle. And there's a little dial on the side here that sets the angle so if we get the right bevel on the machine. So the most common bevel on a knife is a 30-degree angle. So what we're going to do is set this little degrees at 15, because we're doing two bevels, 15 and 15 is a 30-degree knife. So I'm going to run that on there. Once I get a burr, I'll hone it off. We should have a sharp knife.
You know, the other thing I was impressed with, how quiet the machine is.
Yeah, it's
You know,
very
when you
quiet.
turned it on, I didn't hear a big grinding noise.
Correct.
So go ahead and power it up for us.
Yep. Slow speed, diamond wheel, 600 grit. So it's very gentle on your knives. One thing you'll get with a lot of the knife services, is they make sparks. As soon as you make a spark, that means you're heating up your steel. And what you're doing there is wrecking your metal, so you're starting to mess with the temper. So a slow speed diamond wheel doesn't have any heat. You're not wrecking your knives. You get a lot more life out of sometimes lesser quality knife.
So with a diamond wheel, we can sharpen any steel, Damascus, stainless, whatever.
Yes, correct. That's right. You can use it for sushi knives as well, butcher knives, because diamond's harder than any of the steels out there.
Very good. How about cleavers?
Yes, we can do cleavers. What we have to do is just take this off, this little jig off, and then it just becomes a little bit more of a freehand. We still run it against the guide, but it's just a little more of a freehand. So yes, we can do cleavers on there very easily.
Okay, let's see if we can make this guy usable again.
Yep, that's fine. I'll give it a shot. So what I'm doing is I set that at 30 degrees, and you'll watch the hand motions, and it's just a simple pass through. You just lift when you get to the point, run the heel in, and you just make the motion. You don't have to use a lot of pressure, because it is a diamond wheel and it is rolling.
So as soon as you put it in there and we hear that noise, it's already sharpening.
Correct.
You're not having to guide it or make sure it's got the right angle. You were trained in about 3 seconds.
Yes, correct. I haven't had much training on this at all, but that's the whole point of it. A novice can make a sharp knife.
Now, Keith from your company was showing me all of these demonstrations if you have a sharp knife. And, you know, he was cutting paper with it. He was dropping a tomato on the blade. Yep. It was just falling apart. And, you know, I think every chef out there is saying, that's what I want happening in my kitchen.
Yes, that's correct. And I know another thing I do when I go out and do demos, I did a little event down in Southern Cal the other day, and the chefs were saying, how sharp is that knife? I say, you tell me. You're the knife guy, not me. So I would sharpen it for them, hand it over to them, and everyone's like, wow, that is really cool. So I let them tell me. I don't have to do it for them.
Now, normally we're talking maybe 30 or 60 seconds, but because this guy has been cutting asphalt and 2x4s and firewood I saw out there, it's going to take just a little more time, but still you can bring it back to that edge that's just amazing.
Yes, that's correct. It'll probably take me 3 to 4, maybe a little bit longer. And then once I've got that edge and they start using it in the kitchen, they can just come back and sharpen it, you know, every 4 or 5 strokes through, like you said, just a few seconds on it.
Earlier we had Chef Stephanie Peterson in here. She's an accomplished author, chef, and television personality as well. She knows good steel, and you actually had a knife that wasn't of great quality, but you were still able to put an edge on it, and that's important, you know, especially if we don't have tens of thousands of dollars to put into our knives, at least we can have a sharp edge.
That's correct. And what you'll find is with the repeatable angle and the perfect edge on there, the degrees is right, you're able to keep a lesser quality knife sharper longer. And that's important in a kitchen because, like you said, not everyone can afford to buy the expensive knives. And that gives them the ability to keep their knives, their cheaper knives, sharper.
And having this on hand is really nice because we won't be frustrated having to be forced to use a knife that's no good. We can sharpen it right away, be back in the hunt.
That's correct, and that's what I got a little case study. A guy we met at the National Restaurant Show from New Jersey. He has a restaurant, and what he did was he thought he was probably going to have to designate someone to run his knife sharpener. Well, what he found out is that the chefs got onto it. They liked it so much that they just set it up in the kitchen. Now they just run over, do a few pull-throughs, and then they're back at the table or back at the prep table working their food. Now he's also, with the steak knives, he's got table servers bringing them in at the end of shift and sharpening steak knives.
Wow, that's
It
great.
was a win-win for him.
Now, you told me about this guy as soon as you demonstrated what was going on, and he got it right away. He wanted 4 of them, is that right?
Yes, correct. So basically, that's what happens. Once you get someone that's dealt with knife chefs, anybody in the culinary industry, at butcher shops, they appreciate a sharp knife. They know what it can save them. They know what a dull knife costs them.
Yep. So now, what we're looking for here is just a slight burr.
I'm looking for a little burr because with that it means you're starting to move the steel, you're starting to recreate the edge, and then what I'm going to do once I get that burr, I can just feel a little slight one coming. I'm just going to slide it through here a couple more times. We've probably just spent a few minutes, Bill. I'm not sure how long it's been, but it hasn't been very long.
Yep.
And then I'm just starting to feel a slight burr on there. And once I get that burr, I'm just going to hone it off.
And that's the nice part about it is you have the honing wheel over there, just a nice smooth run over it, and you're ready to go.
That's correct. And it's a composite honing wheel, and it's got some material embedded in it just to help clean up that edge. And that's really what will polish and take that edge off. And so you can feel there we've got a slight burr coming, so I can go ahead and put it on the honing wheel now. So what you do here is you just hand hone it on there. You're just running it back and forth across the honing wheel, right kind of in the center on that bevel, and you're just running it a few strokes at a time. You don't have to put a lot of pressure. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, and you're just honing this wheel like this.
It takes that burr off, and you're good.
Just folds that burr around, and then that starts creating your edge.
So this really is easy enough that somebody like me could step right in and start using it right away. Minimal instruction. It's really idiot-proof in regards to the angle. You set it and you're ready to go.
Yes, that's correct, and that is what the whole point of this professional kitchen knife sharpener was to have a novice make a sharp edge. So we don't have to take our high dollar chefs off their tables to have them come over. You don't have to train someone special for this. You can train anyone, put them on it, and boom, they're rolling.
Now, is this ready to demonstrate on the orange?
We're going to demonstrate this on this orange, and you can see I can just peel that skin right now.
Yeah. That is amazing.
And I
In just
didn't
a couple
spend
of
a lot
minutes.
of time. If I was to actually use this in a kitchen or give it to a chef, I would probably spend a little more time, but I don't need to. I mean, this is sharper than most chefs probably are running their knives now.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, Daryl, we have a system that we're going to be able to remove that frustration factor from the kitchen. We're going to be able to sharpen our knives right away, have a sharp knife whenever we need it, within a matter of 30 seconds to a minute. And with that said, right now, I know you have to have the attention, all of our chefs out there.
Yep.
What's the best way for them to learn more about the Tormac T2?
So they can go to affinityculinary.com and get their information there. They can also call in. We can talk to them live, but affinityculinary.com is a good website to go to.
Easy enough. Daryl, thanks so much for being
Thank you very
on.
much, Bill. Thank you very much.
Very nice job.
All right.
What I'd like to do is I'm just going to stop.